work around some limitation, we also have developed an in-house MCP, custom MCP to work around some hiccup that we have with the original one. So I'm quite
Matteo, you could be presenting this then.
We know more about this.
Yeah, you might know more than us.
Hey, Phil.
But hopefully there'll be something for everyone to learn over the next hour. Whether you're a beginner or you're very experienced with working with AI tooling and MCPs already, I'm sure there will be something that you'll be able to pick up.
Yes, I will be leaving the meeting in 30 minutes because I have another call with paying customers. So
don't worry.
They come first, but I think you will send a recording or something at the end of the meeting. No?
Exactly.
Yeah. This is we haven't hit the record button yet, but it will be recorded.
So
okay. Thank you very much.
Or maybe we have already.
Yeah, it's all live.
Yeah. Okay, so we're already recording. So yeah, this will be recorded. If you do have to hop off at any time, that's totally okay. You'll get to catch up on whatever you've missed. So don't worry about that. You just might get to miss out on grilling us and asking us some questions.
Exactly.
Maybe anytime whoever wants to can write in the chat where they're dialing in from, introduce themselves.
Yeah, maybe what the weather is like where you are. It's always important, right?
Always.
See, I mean, Google Meet should be able to handle this, right? Have we load tested this? Have we?
I mean, how many people? I'm sure we'll be good.
We have folks from Spain, the Netherlands, Montreal. Incredible! This is really cool. It's well, I hope everyone's weather is better than mine. It's pouring down outside in Galway in Ireland.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good thing that you can get to stay inside and do a webinar, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm not going anywhere.
All right.
Hi, Mark. Sunny Copenhagen. I'm very jealous.
This thing is still missing a bit of a background music functionality, right? Just imagine we could just have some slow music playing.
I don't know. I kind of like the semi-awkward silence. I'm okay with that. I like to just sit in silence.
Sit in silence and listen to people join.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So stereotypical technical people, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Vilnius, cool.
So essentially, we have
Bordeaux,
the whole of Europe in this session, which is amazing.
Yeah. We've just hit 90 people.
Yeah. Okay. Should we start when we hit 100? Instead of starting?
Yeah. Okay. When we hit 100 people, we're going to kick it off.
Yes.
I like that. That should be the rule always.
I was going to say, otherwise we're not going to say it.
It's not worth it. Unless you're getting triple figure amounts of people in your call, it's not worth it.
All right, 96.
Slides will be we don't have a lot of slides, but the recording will be available. Exactly. The recording will be a lot more useful than the slides.
So
we're going very lo-fi and not using a lot of slides intentionally because we just want to show a lot of practical demonstrations.
Yeah. So this is rather raw and unpolished. But it's also very real. So
we're at 100 or 106 people now.
So I think we can get started.
Let's kick it off. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so I guess I get to start and welcome everybody and say hi. We're so happy that you've joined us today at this Well, here it's not sunny afternoon, but wherever you are, if it's sunny, then lucky you. Maybe a quick intro on the three of us. Roman, if you can. So I'm Yael. I'm a partner engineer covering EMEA here at Shopify. With me, Liam and Roman, who can introduce themselves as well.
Yeah, my name is Liam. I am a developer advocate here at Shopify. So that means I help developers in many different types of ways. And I'm based in Ireland. Roman, over to you.
Yes, I'm Roman. I'm based in Germany, and I own Yael's team. And essentially, we are helping agency partners to, work with Shopify, get to understand Shopify from an architecture perspective. Happy to be here and talk about these things, because this is actually like a very real scenario. I mean, we are working with this every day. We have MCPs all over the place here at Shopify, and so we are helping to deliver get some of that goodness over to you guys.
Yeah, perfect. And I didn't say I'm based in London. You all said where you're based. So, okay, so if we move on and we can see what are the topics for today. We have a quick intro on MCPs, what they are, why are they helpful. Then we're going to be talking about Shopify DevMCPs, which tools and docs are available. A little bit about our Dev Assistant, when and how we should use it, and then a bit more about Cursor and DevMCPs, how to get your Shopify questions answered, what you can do to leverage this, and then a little bit of live vibe coding demo on how to do real apps with DevMCPs, hoping everything goes well. Okay, so why are we here today, basically, like Roman said. So there's been a lot of buzz around the partner ecosystem on MCPs. What are they? MCPs are Model Context Protocol servers. And if you are wondering how AI can supercharge your Shopify development, you're in the right webinar. So good thing that you're here. At Shopify, we've been using MCPs internally for a while now, and the productivity gains have been humongous. And today we thought maybe we can unpack what MCPs are, how are they unique to Shopify development, and most importantly, how you can use them as partners, leverage them to build better solutions and multiply basically everything that you're doing. So let's start with the basics about what exactly Shopify MCPs are. And generally what MCPs are. So MCPs essentially are just very intelligent connectors that give AI assistants like Claude, ChatGPT, or Cursor direct access to Shopify's APIs, documentations, and tools. You can think of them as like translators that help API understand Shopify's ecosystem deeply. So instead of having to copy-paste code or manually look up API documentation, the AI assistants already know how to interact with those tools and languages without you having to do anything to translate them. A little bit about what currently is available, and Liam will deep dive into that a little more. But today we're focusing on Shopify DevMCPs. It basically allows you access to all of Shopify's developer documentation, GraphQL schemas, GitHub, and integrations. This will allow you complete workflow automation. Now, why are these different from just using ChatGPT, which we know some of you do? Because here are the key differentiators. ChatGPT doesn't always have all the live and real-time knowledge of what's going on in Shopify. Using our MCPs, you'll get real-time accurate information. It will always pull out the latest API specs and no outdated training data that's kind of floating around in the sphere. And when Shopify will release new features, MCP will know about that immediately. So you already gain that quick access to everything. The other differentiator, it's context aware of development. So AI understands Shopify specific patterns like Liquid, Polaris, Average, It understands Shopify's concepts like meta fields, variants, fulfillment. So again, you don't need to translate this. It's all aligned. You can leverage that and query that in natural language. And then lastly, it enables multi-tool integration. So you can connect multiple MCPs together. You can pull docs while you're checking GitHub repos. You can do all sorts of chain operations, like checking latest admin APIs, writing the code, and then creating the PR. So what it is basically is that you're getting your own Shopify expert assistant right there, sitting next to you at all time, so that you can code in lightning speed. And lastly, unlike generic AI, it won't suggest deprecated methods or non-existent APIs. You'll always be up to date and right there at the forefront. So with that note, I'm handing this over to you, Liam, to speak about Shopify DevMCPs.
Thanks, Yael. That was a really good introduction to a lot of the different concepts behind MCPs. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen. So hopefully you can see, we don't really have slides for this. We're kind of doing sort of a live demo, and I'll be going through our documentation. So hopefully you can see my screen here. Yael, if you give me just a shout that everything's looking okay.
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, what is the dev MCP specifically? So if we understand that MCPs are ways to either translate information or to distill information from sources, how does that then work in a Shopify dev? So the way that I sort of understand and think about the dev MCP is that it's essentially a bridge between you and whatever tooling that you're using when working on Shopify and our Shopify documentation. So it helps you to understand a lot of our API behavior. It helps to understand what are the capabilities that are possible on Shopify. And like Yael said, it reduces the time you might be spending browsing individual pages, having to connect the dots across reference documentation and guides and tutorials. So when you ask a question, you get back a very targeted information specific to the use case that you're trying to understand. Plus, I think maybe the biggest superpower of MCPs is that when you combine it with a code editor like Cursor or Claude Desktop or Claude Code, you're able to not only get information, but the agentic tools in your IDE can use that information to make changes to the code. So you're getting information from the docs, and then the AI tooling is analyzing the information, it's analyzing the code of your app, and it's making the changes, and you can preview and then you can approve the changes that are being made. I'll be demoing that and hopefully it'll work properly in a little bit. So this I feel will be easier to conceptualize when you see an example of this too. But first, I just kind of want to look at the kinds of information that you can get from the dev MCP. So so I'm just going to go through our documentation here. This will all be shared later on. But so there's a bunch of different APIs that are currently supported. We actually shipped a bunch of new ones yesterday, so I had some notes prepared. I had to scrap them, and now I have all new information that I need to be able to communicate to you all. So the various APIs that are available in the dev MCP, you can see here. So you can query information related to our admin API. I'm sure if you're building custom apps for clients, this is probably something you're using quite a lot to either get information about a store or make changes. Maybe you're adding notes to orders in a custom way, something like that. If you are building custom storefronts with our storefront API, building on top of non-liquid powered storefronts, for example, you can query information about that for the storefront API, the partner API. So this could be interesting if you're using the partner directory, but also there's other things here. But maybe for this group, if you're not building public apps, might not be as relevant. But if you're building things like using the new customer account API, for example, or I'm sure a lot of people will be building advanced customizations for checkout. So the DevMCP is very good at creating Shopify functions. So we've got extra training related to building functions. We know it's a very difficult at times and complex process, especially if you're using Rust for your functions. So we really recommend using the DevMCP for building those Shopify functions. Something that just shipped in the last day as well. This was in beta previously, Polaris Web Components. So if you're building UIs on top of the Shopify admin for custom apps, you can ask the MCP to generate those components for you, and also Liquid. So I'm sure a lot of people here are working with themes, or maybe if it's a custom app that's adding a theme app extension, then there's support for Liquid. So yeah, those are the supported APIs. Maybe like a cool example would be, I'll quickly go through actually the tools that are available too. So you'll see these, you'll see references to these if you're using Cursor. I'll just quickly touch on what each one of these tools are. And this is what the MCP is, the actions that it's taking when it's analyzing a prompt that you give it. So the first thing that will always run is the Learn Shopify API. So this is kind of like an introductory thing, and allows the rest of the process to run, and will sort of give a bit of guidance in the beginning. You have search docs chunks. So this is casting a wide net across all of the Shopify documentation and retrieving small information, usually to get a little bit of context on what the question is asking. And if after doing that, the MCP recognizes that it needs more in-depth documentation on a specific context, it'll use fetch full docs, which gets a full page or a path. If it needs to generate a GraphQL API query or mutation, it will use introspect GraphQL schema. And this is actually looking at the structure of our API to see what's possible. And then it uses that to generate a query. And once it's generated the query, there's another tool that will validate that. So if it's query or mutation, we have a tool that's separate that will validate it. And then we have validate component code blocks. I think that's new, actually, maybe related to Polaris. And then validate theme code blocks. So when you're working with Liquid, this allows the generation of theme components, and then validate theme. So if you've been using the Shopify CLI and you've been using theme check to analyze if there are problems in your theme, that's essentially the same thing here. So that's the tools and the docs that are available to the DevMCP. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at how this operates. So as I mentioned, there's two ways really to work with the DevMCP. One is through the actual Shopify.dev, and on any page of Shopify.dev, and then secondly, cursor. So the first thing we'll look at is how to use this in Shopify.dev. And it's really, really super easy to get started. So literally any page on Shopify.dev, you'll see this assistant button up on the top nav. This pops open the chat bot. I'm sure if you've used any of the AI tooling over the last year or so, this will be very, very familiar. You can put in any prompt here, as long as it's related to building on top of Shopify, of course. But if you have like a specific use case, scenario, you can add that in here. You can see here, there's a couple examples here too. So this is something related to functions, applying a discount at on cart based on a particular set of parameters. Oh no. That happens sometimes. That's okay.
We just broke the agent, my friend.
I just broke it. This is the joy of live coding. I'll just test with another one, I'm sure. These things kind of, sometimes this drops. Oh no. That's unfortunate. I might just reload.
This is where I least expected errors.
Yeah. Of course. Just give me a second. This would happen. I'm going to blame the rain outside. I think it's causing a problem. But okay, so I had a few. We'll try it again. I had a few potential use cases just to show how this can be used. So this is a prompt, a fictional client that wants to implement a loyalty program. And they've a few kind of requirements that goes into this. So I don't know, hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, I'll just skip to using cursor in a minute. But yeah, essentially what's happening in the background is it's making a call. Oh, we're getting some information back. So it's calling the MCP and it's analyzing our documentation. So yeah, in this case, the client who's I'm potentially working for wants to set up customer tags based on how frequent a buyer is, and then that enrolls them into a loyalty program. So yeah, what it's doing here is it's scanning our documentation, and it will give us a very high level approach of what to take. So get the customer purchase data, then check all of the data against your loyalty criteria, and then based on that, you can add or remove tags. So you're getting information and then making some changes. So what will actually happen too is it will tell you the exact queries that you need to use and give you a little bit of annotation on like what each of these, if it's fields or variables, what it means. It might give you some notes and some tips. It gives you links, and it gives you like what a real life example could look like based on some placeholder information. And then the next step is adding or removing customer tags. And then it also talks about how you could do this in an automated way. So if you wanted to set up schedule jobs, for example, and then it gives you a summary and notes and everything. So, I mean, all of this information is on the developer docs, but if you were just given this use case and you had to go and find out yourself, it could take you, some time to just analyze all of the docs and piece together everything yourself. I have another example I'm going to test out as well. So this is another potential use case. If I am a agency, a client is coming to me and they say they want to prevent customers from making orders or shipping orders to specific PO addresses, or essentially, if there's conditions. I'm sure if you've been working with a lot of maybe enterprise or plus merchants, they'll commonly have quite unique requirements when it comes to things like checkout. So I'm just giving this use case requirements that a fictional client gave me, asking, is it possible? And if so, to describe how this is going to happen. So it tells me, yes, yeah, it's possible to do this on Shopify. It tells me which API we'll need to use. So it's the cart and checkout validation API. Gives me the high-level steps. So there's 5 steps here. How to configure, gives me like at a very high level, and then it goes quite detailed into like the step-by-step process. So what commands you need to use, how then you need to update your TOML, what kind of information you need to give, then the validation logic. This is in Rust. You can also, I believe, ask to translate this from Rust to JavaScript or either or. But yeah, you can see here it's giving you a lot of information here, then gives you a summary. So yeah, I mean it can be a really good way just to even validate an idea or to find out if a use case is possible. And it cuts down, the need for you to navigate a lot of things. Another thing that could be interesting to show as well. I might just need to. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to run this. Hopefully this will work. So I'm just spinning up my local dev environment so that my app is running in the background. And then a cool thing this might not work. Created products. So in the UI of the Dev Assistant, there's also an option for playing or running a query or a mutation that's generated. So here I'm just asking, like, how do I get the last 5 created products? So this is creating a query for me. And you see here there's a play button. So if I have everything connected correctly, I'm able to play this. So this will open up the graphical app, which we can use for testing API queries. And then you can see here it's taking this operation, this query, and brought it into graphical, and it has my connected store and my app. And then when I press play, I'm able to actually run this query. So I can now see, oh, these are actually the products from the store. So not only is it giving you the information, but it's making it a lot easier for you to take that information and create a very practical action out of it. So yeah, that's the Dev Assistant. I think we will have some time for questions and stuff at the end if you want to look at other examples or get a little bit more information on that. But yes, I think I'm going to throw it back over to Roman now to chat about how to get your Shopify questions answered.
Yes, exactly. And we're going to be using Cursor for that. Let me just share my screen. Thanks, Liam. All right. Okay, so this is good old Cursor. I'm not sure how many of you are actually using this. But this is kind of like the tool of choice here at Shopify. And you wouldn't believe like the amount of people using this. I mean, from all crafts. So we're not really only talking about developers and architects. It's also folks from commercial crafts who are using this to get ideas and to validate ideas, right? So this is why this is also great, right? So this is like the starting point. And one thing I want to highlight is that what is actually happening is that the MCP server is running on your local machine. That's kind of why you actually have to start this first. So this is also in the docs as well. So this is kind of the starting point. So you're really making sure that you have this Node app running on your machine that will then access the APIs and documentation that we need. And if we have a quick look at the setup here, so we go to Tools MCP. So essentially, I've got this thing running. So there are 7 tools. I mean, Liam talked about those as well. So this server actually has those tools available that it will then use to to find out the things that you need. And if you hit this, you can actually see like the way in which we are configuring cursor. So essentially, it's calling this this node package here, and it's using this to do what it is actually doing. Just as a sort of a like housekeeping, just making sure that you have this configured properly. This, by the way, might not be the only one that you're using. From experience, folks are using all sorts of MCPs from all various sources. Maybe, I don't know, you're integrating Shopify with, I don't know, PIM systems, ERP systems, and they might have MCPs as well, right? Then it obviously makes total sense to have all those MCPs configured on your cursor so that you can have like cross platform queries as well. Now, similar to what Liam has done, what I want to sort of show now is really, sometimes I guess this is something that comes up with you folks a lot is, the having like a very clear idea of the challenge at stake is almost the second step. I mean, usually it takes a while for you to get what the customer actually wants to do, what they want to achieve, right? So they might send you a long email, maybe you get like a long document, an architecture slide, maybe some wireframes, and certainly for us internally, when you guys are asking us questions, it's the same thing, right? So we need to make sure we understand what you're referring to, because we don't have all the context just yet. We just need to find a way to get to understand your challenge really. And this is where Cursor can help us a lot. And let me just show you a couple of things that are made up. Some of them are actually live questions. So this is the let's see, the question that I got like the other day about traffic spikes, right? So I'm just trying to find out, hey, how would we answer this, and how would we reference the documentation for this? So again, like Liam said, you never know what comes out of this. So let's see what it's doing. By the way, we have like in Shopify, we default to Claude Sonnet, I believe. So that's kind of the model that we're using currently, and it's running here in addition to the MCP that I've just shown. And like this is probably similar to what Liam just showed about the dev assistant, essentially doing the same thing. So it's using this search chunks, and it's running on autopilot. So you can configure Cursor in a way that it doesn't require you to click all the time. So this is kind of what you see here. So it goes through the documentations, and then it comes up with this answer. Now I won't go through this in detail. You probably know most of this stuff, right? So we talk about rate limits, for example. We talk about CDN. So this is kind of the first, I guess, idea for an answer that we could then, validate and send to whoever asked the question. The second scenario is, let me just create a new chat here. You probably see this. So here's someone asking like almost like a prototypical Shopify question. It's about variants and a made-to-order product. So essentially, what they're trying to ask is, hey, we want to sell T-shirts. We have those variants, and it's exceeding your 100 variant limit that you used to have, right? And we all know now that we are going into the direction of having the 2K variant limit. This will most likely, output this result as well. So in this case, it's looking at the admin API because we're talking about product data, so it needs to make sure it understands what's going on there. And like you can see, it's just running through the very different tools, and I have to do my best to just talk over this all the time while this is running. So just trying to make up something that sounds smart, and let the machine do all the work here.
But in real life, you can go grab a cup of coffee.
Exactly, yeah. I just realized, I don't know whether this is something that, I don't know why this is, but this is taking longer than the dev assistant. I'm not sure why this is, whether it's kind of using different data, or whether it's going in different directions. But here, this is the variant limit that is now rolling out to all merchants across the platform, and this is what you can need to know about this problem, or about this solution. And the last thing, and this is something I've been playing with a bit, is there's an app called Mac Whisper. I'm on the Mac here, and sometimes I feel very lazy. I'm too lazy to type, so that's why I just use voice commands. So let's see whether this works. So use like this. Can you look at this customer scenario and make a 10-step plan for them to migrate from their old platform to Shopify? Okay, so this is kind of my request, and then I've made up this merchant profile for Modern Living Europe. It's a furniture provider, and essentially what I'll just hope to get out of this is for this machine to look at this scenario. It's a merchant that is active in 4 countries. They are active on Adobe Commerce. They have like 40 million in revenue every year. They have a furniture configurator, and now this is going through this specific use case, and hopefully it's giving me an idea of, hey, what could be the steps to tackle this project or to tackle this challenge? What could be the architecture that you might want to look at? Those things. Again, this might not be like the perfect solution and nothing that you can just take and just use as is, but it's most likely something that will kind of kick off your thinking and will lead to better results. Ultimately, it's a much faster tool, right? So this is talking about the different steps. Funny thing is, now, hang on, we are weeks 20. Okay. So it's talking about 25 weeks, which is fast, I think, for that. I tried this earlier, and it told me it will take 6 months. All right, so it's probably roughly the same. But anyway, so
things have probably changed since you tested it last. So
yeah,
they're all speeding up.
Probably. So yeah, so again, this is, I think, making things so much easier. If we just relentlessly copy paste things into Cursor, maybe using your voice to issue commands, that is really a massive productivity boost. At least that's what I found. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. And
Roman, out of interest, I've never tried this myself, but so just say you've created this plan, multi-week plan. It's quite comprehensive. Can you ask Cursor to create a markdown file and take this answer and put it into a markdown file so then you can share it with your teammates, for example? I don't know if that will work, but
hey Cursor, can you take this reply and create a markdown file out of this to be able to share this with my teammates? Let's see one. All right.
I hope this works.
I hope this works. Should be. I mean, this should be the easiest step of the process. I mean, it's gone so far. It found out all the things. It accessed all the data. Now turning this into Markdown should be easy, but apparently.
Otherwise, I mean, copying and pasting is cool too, but
yeah, exactly. But no worries. See.
Oh,
look at this. It's creating an MD file, so it's looking good.
It was only when we started to express doubt and disappointment that it realized it needed to step the game up.
Exactly. It still has this voice command thing going, so I think it listens to me.
Yeah,
it can hear me. So anyway, but this is taking off.
So it will create this. It says you're creating the markdown file. So it's that's cool. I like that.
Anyway, so that was this. That was the part about planning, and I guess now the final part would be Liam, for you to actually produce some code with Cursor.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do this. I'm gonna go back to presenting my entire screen again. So what am I doing? I'm going to. Oh yes. Okay. So this hopefully should look a little bit familiar based on what Roman was sharing. In this case, I'm inside an app. This is just an app that was here. For a second. Yeah, sorry. Just had to check something. This is just a boilerplate app. It's connected to this store. And then anytime I make a change here, so I'm imagining I'm creating a custom app for a client. I'm just going to double check that. Is this populating across? I make a change. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that was up and running. Okay, so I have an idea, or maybe a client has asked to create a custom app where they're able to add tags to products. This is just a very simple scenario, just to test this out, to show what can be done in 10 minutes. So I'm saying I want to have a section where I can select products from a picker component and assign a tag to every product that I select. And then I'm also telling it, just to speed things up, to please use the DevMCP to get all the necessary information. So I'm giving it a little bit of direction here. So yeah, it's thinking, it's analyzing what the question is. And then again, the first thing it always does, it calls learn Shopify API. That sort of gives it its initial direction and sort of sets up almost like a config for just this particular job. And then it's running search docs chunks. So that sort of wide net, again, that I mentioned, where it's looking for small pieces of information across the entire of the Shopify.dev directory. Then it's running introspect GraphQL schema. So it's actually looking at the structure of the schema to understand what possible queries existed. It's not finding what it's looking for. So it's actually going back a step, looking at full docs, again, going back to creating the schema, looking at the schema to create a GraphQL query, looking for information. So now you can see my code is starting to change. So it's actually added in some new things here. When it adds this in, it does save the file, but I can very quickly undo or keep. So I have options for reviewing. So it says it has the information it needs. It's broken down the job into various steps. So it behaves like a actual human developer in terms of breaking down a problem and finding the best sequence to tackling it. And then it's going, look, it's making changes to this index file. So that's the file that generates the homepage. And now it's okay. So it's added, it's generated GraphQL mutations, and then it's validating. So it has a different tool to validate. And what it's also doing as well is it's added the code, and it's also created documentation. So it's created a new file that's just documentation about what it's done, so that in the future, if you need to come back and look at this feature, you're able to understand the what it's actually done, which is really very useful. and then it summarizes what it's implemented. So okay, so let's test this out. Let's go back to my store. So now I can see this is a new component. It hasn't existed before. I'll get rid of Sidekick and I'll get rid of this as well. So I can now select products. So okay, the product selector is working. I can select this demo product, collection snowboard liquid. It gives me a preview of this, and then I can enter in tags. So I'm going to add in, will this work? And now I can click on add tags to products. And it says, oh, go back to here. Okay, so maybe this works. That was I think it was the liquid snowboard. Yeah, it was this one. And then I look at my tags, and yeah, okay, so it's appearing, which is really, really cool. So what it's done was actually accurate. It's worked. And I think I even had some times to spare. So this doesn't always work as properly as it does. I tried the same thing yesterday, and I hit some errors. And what I was able to do was take the error message and put it back into Cursor, and it was able to analyze the error, and then it could see where it was making a mistake, and it would correct itself. So
yeah, I know. Like the first version is you record this video, it was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah,
and you used the whole 10 minutes. This was like only half of the time, like
really?
5 minutes. Well, 3 even. So great job.
So yeah, if I've tested this and it all works as expected, I can just select keep all. And what that does then is it saves the file, and I can still undo things as you would with a regular code editor. But yeah, okay, so that went pretty well. Obviously, it's a very oh yeah, I can keep all for this file too, where the documentation, which is nice. So I mean, this is obviously a very sort of simplified type of a feature, but I was able to do this in a few minutes. So imagine if you were given a brief for a much more complex feature that you want to build for a client. You could, something that might take a week to build might actually end up taking, 1 or 2 days instead, with this very fast process of being able to implement changes, to test changes, and being able to access the documentation without actually needing to go to the documentation.
I think it's worth highlighting, and this also came up in the chat, is that you used like a scaffold. You scaffolded the app with the CLI, so you had like this basic structure.
I did have, so but I didn't make any changes to the boilerplate of the CLI. So I just created that. I just spun up a new app using the CLI earlier today.
Yeah. So there seems to be like a much like faster and like more direct road to success, rather than just starting from scratch and just starting with an empty, like an empty development environment, and then start to build the app from scratch, right? So you have like already something that's working. You have the authentication that's being taken care of, and you can just start from there.
It's always our recommendation if you're building any type of app, even like if it's a custom app, if you use the CLI, it will generate a boilerplate that already has all like authentication, session tokens, like all of that stuff that's generally quite tedious to set up. That's already there, and it kind of makes things a much easier process for you.
Nice. All right, folks. Any questions? Any things? Any topics that we should talk about, or any questions?
So Tommy, I'm just looking at some questions from the chat here. Any reason you choose using Claude Sonnet 4.5 specifically? So Sonnet 4.5, I think that's quite a new model. I think it just launched by Anthropic last week or a few days ago. But I think it's definitely worth testing many different models to see what will work. There's also an option in Cursor where you can you can allow it to choose the model. So if you set it to auto, it will analyze what you're asking and then choose a model based on what it feels is the most appropriate one. I think like we just use at Shopify Sonnet very regularly. I just find it works very well for code questions specifically. I think if I was asking a more general question, maybe I would use a different model.
We have another question here from Bogdan. If we see this path being scalable, right now it is good for this one-shot prompt for adding a product selection, but what if you wanted to actually build it out?
Yeah, as far as I know, I think developers are already building apps that are being launched in the Shopify App Store with a lot of help from models such as using the MCP. It can definitely scale up for sure. I mean, this was like a super basic demo just to show in a short amount of time like what the process is. But yeah, you can use it for more complex things. Obviously, it will take a lot longer. There'll be a lot more troubleshooting. It's not going to get everything right, but it can definitely reduce the amount of time. Yeah, and also with the DevMCP, it has access to all the information around things like built for Shopify standards. So it's already aware of like high standards that Shopify apps should be meeting.
Are there any other questions? Yes, Francesco.
Yeah, my question is, does this kind of tools, MCP, can work also on the like on sales agent, like an operator on Shopify POS, or can help or can be part of the Shopify POS experience? Thank you.
So if I understood correctly, so the question was like the POS system, that our retail system that we're using, if could also implement or integrate an MCP in there. Was that the question? So that if store assistants could interact with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't think that's possible currently. I don't. Is this for building a POS extension or for when a POS extension is built and you want to be able to integrate an MCP into it, like how? So we have like another MCP, just the Storefront MCP, where you can query information about stores. Is it more like that?
In case of we building a Shopify POS extension, I guess we can do as pretty much as we want. Also integrate with some agent, I guess. Is there? My question was if there is some built-in extension or application that can be found already developed on the Shopify POS.
I'm not sure I'm the best person to, my retail experience and working with POS extensions is pretty limited. One thing, actually, this could be a good question to ask in our developer community, though. So we do have a tag for POS extensions. I'm just going to throw it into the chat here. So if you ask on the community, and then I can definitely get this in front of the POS extensions team so that you can. I just want to make sure that I give you the best answer, and I might not be the best person to give it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Just
no problem.
Shopify POS is one of our more concern, but we appreciate all the work you are doing on the MCP, also for other useful purpose. Let me say thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Abdul, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I did put a question in the chat, might have been quite early on, so it might have been skipped, but I had a question regarding the Horizon theme. It uses cursor rules, looking at the GitHub repo, but the README sort of is limited in the detail it provides. So what's like the sort of recommended development structure for when using this theme? Do you think it just goes well with using cursor and based on the rules that's already provided within the repo?
Yeah, so I know I have I haven't really done much theme development recently, but I have been talking to developers who are creating custom themes in their agency, and they've been using the cursor rules that have been shared on the Horizons repo. And I think even like using those rules, they've used those rules in their own custom themes. So they're not actually using Horizon, but they've taken the same rules and they've made some changes. But they use like the same pattern, and they said it's been very successful for them. So yeah, I think like if you are already using, like, are you using cursor and cursor rules already?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And have you tried using the rules that are in Horizon?
Yeah, I found it very good. It was just the sort of because the JavaScript is different. It uses JSDocs, and I wasn't sure if there's sort of other prerequisites files that need to be added to the code base, but it's just not shared in the repo.
Yeah, I don't think so. I can ask that team, and I can find out. As far as I know, you don't need to do any other like configuration other than taking the rules.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
All right.
Cool.
We have 5 more minutes.
I'm just looking through if there was any other questions in the chat.
I think.
There was Matteo had a question about this, how the Storefront API and the Storefront MCP. So to clarify, the DevMCP does not supersede the Storefront MCP. They do two completely different things. So the DevMCP is just for getting information from the developer documentation and assistance building with that. And then the Storefront MCP, that's actually a different tool that you can use that will get you information about stores that you're connected to. So one is kind of a learning and building tool, and then one is a tool that you can use inside of your app.
Yeah, so this is probably what this whole topic of agentic commerce will essentially be based on, right? So every Shopify store has its own storefront MCP, right? So for you to build agents on top of store data, but this is like customer facing, and this is what we talk about here is more developer and partner facing.
Yeah, 100%. There's another question here from Wouter. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Wouter.
Does it take API query load and rate limits into account when architecting a solution? It might not. That's, I think, the thing with prompting is that sometimes it will your prompt will be analyzed quite literally. So if you don't specify that you want to do something in a very efficient way, it might not do it very efficiently. It might do it quite inefficiently. So it could be something to just add to the prompt. Is at the end, like, make sure you implement the most efficient way in relation to things like rate limits, so that you're not adding extra fields into a GraphQL query. So yeah, that would be something I would just like try to work into the prompt engineering side of things.
I can add here that it will consider the rate limit, but it won't calculate cost and what it means. So when it will suggest an architecture or solution, it will take into account the rate limits, but it won't give you the most efficient way unless you ask it to. So, to your point, prompt is everything.
I always try to over specify. That usually gives me the best results.
Yeah.
All right. So to wrap this up, like two things that we would like to get out. So first thing is, if you have like any cool tips and tricks and prompts that you are constantly using, things that work well, things that don't work at all, we're curious. Please let us know. Right? Just you've got our contact details. So it would be great if you could just reach out and tell us, because we're always trying to learn these things. And the second thing is, please save the date, because we see like a lot of interest in those webinars, right? So we want to do another one. So we'll do another one on November the 4th, same time. We're just not quite sure about the topic yet, but it's going to be very good as well. So, just want to put this out there. Yeah, thanks very much for being here with us. Thanks, Liam. Thanks, Yael.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. It was really great to connect with you, and hopefully this has provided some inspiration and ideas for your own projects. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day. Thanks. See you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.